Congratulations on celebrating this 10-year milestone with JBI Evidence Synthesis. Can you tell us a little bit about how and why the journal started 10 years ago?
Thank you, Mara. So when we first created this journal, our journal, when we first launched it, it was purely published by JBI. So we found an open source system called Open Journal Systems, literally pieced it all together ourselves here in JBI. The most exciting part initially was sending it live. When it first went live over 10 years ago, that was obviously very, very exciting times, for not just for us in JBI, but for all of our collaborators. I think other major milestones was our first indexing. So PubMed and Medline was the first place that we were indexed. That was 2014, about 15 months after we launched. And we learned a lot of this by osmosis. So creating our own journal, there was no one here to tell us this is what you should be doing, when you should be doing it, and how you should be doing it. It was more a lot of scrambling around saying we need to do this, let's make it happen. So indexing was big, our first indexing. And I think after we'd shown for some years that we could be successful and do this successfully, and our whole society was on board with us, continuing to receive submissions and the like. Another big milestone was when Lippincott, Williams and Wilkins with WK came along to us and asked to be our publisher. So that was an interesting time because we moved formally from probably what you could have called grey literature, not having a commercial publisher, to I think for us that was almost a transition into the big time. We've got a real publisher here, just like so many of the many thousands of academic journals do, but that was certainly a major milestone. I think other major milestones in the development of this journal really laying complete claim to being a fully refereed, academic, scholarly publication, adhering to all the requirements of COPE. I think something that's evolved as the journal has over 10 years has been our editorial panel as well, and the way we've worked with our editorial panel. That went through some, permutations between where we started and I think where we've landed now. It's an advisory board, an editorial advisory board, and then a real panel that is formed by senior associate editors and associate editors, and the way we all work together. I'm really pleased with the way it's come together, and we match what some of the best journals in the world are doing. I think the way that we work with our editors and our peer reviewers. So that's been exciting. I think a really exciting thing that's occurred over the last 10 years, and certainly since Lippincott took us on board, so the last 5 or 6 years, is that we receive more and more submissions from people who aren't part of our society. They just use our methodologies and our methods, and they say, hey, where am I going to publish this? I'm going to go straight to the heart of the issue, and we'll publish it with JBI Evidence Synthesis. And that's been really exciting to see, and we track that all the time to see that more and more people around the world are choosing our journal as an outlet for their good work. So our journal's always had 12 issues per year. We normally publish around, we're at the point now where consistently we publish close to 200 individual manuscripts a year, and each volume is pushing 2,500, 3,000 pages, generally speaking. So there's a lot of content there. And we're also proud in our publications, and have been, that we adhere to the PRISMA 2020 reporting requirements. And in some cases, the requirements of our journal have actually been, some of the reporting requirements that we have for JBI systematic reviews, or for anyone publishing in our journal. For example, all of the search strategies must be presented to adhere to and promote reproducibility and transparency. Just as an example, we've been doing that for many, many years, well before the advent of PRISMA 2020, which is now best practice in reporting. So I'm also proud of the fact that when it comes to certain issues of conduct and reporting, our journal has helped promote what is evolving to best practice in this field of research as well, which has been fantastic.
We're ahead of our time.
Yeah. What does the future hold for JBI Evidence Synthesis? Well, I think we'll be doing more of what we have been doing. We do want to, so there are a few journals, in the world that have a very similar scope to ours. They're the journals that we benchmark ourselves against, and we want to continue to be able to benchmark ourselves against some of the best journals in the world, and to continue, I guess, always striving to improve how we work with our authors and our peer reviewers. That's what brings authors back if they have a good experience with us the first time around. So, certainly doing more of the same and what we have been doing to try and do it as best that we can. And also looking for, now we're having some opportunity as we've grown as a journal, and we're really looking forward to, I certainly am, it's going to be very soon in 2023, to publish some series around JBI methodology and methods. One that is coming hot off the press soon will be our series of risk of bias, and how risk of bias is considered in JBI quantitative reviews, specifically reviews of effects. So these are going to be new initiatives. We've never done it before in our journal, and we think it's going to be useful. Researchers, readers hold a lot of interest for certainly for our society and beyond. So it's just some exciting initiatives, I think, that are coming up in the near future.
That's great. I know that methodology papers are always very well received.
Yes, they are. We have, it's fantastic. A lot of the systematic reviews are there to, it's what brings us together as a society. The systematic reviews are there to help get the best evidence into clinical decision making and decision making around policy and practice. And we still have lots of, really fantastic questions being asked by our authors, finding that evidence and presenting it to the world using our journal as a forum. But also what underpins it all, our entire editorial panel, we take our best advice from the JBI Scientific Committee and author methodology groups. We're beholden to them in terms of our editors are, our editorial panel, to make sure that we're abreast of all of the latest advances. But the exciting part is, as you mentioned, the methodology papers, which attract a lot of interest. We're also the outlet for the JBI methodologies and methods around synthesis, just like our sister journal, JBI Evidence Implementation, is for the latest advances in the methodologies and methods about using that evidence out in the real world. But I think by midway through 2023, 10 years old, we'll have our impact factor, which isn't as fast as some, but hasn't taken as long as many. And now I'm just interested to see what that number will be, because it's all important. It's an all-important mark of a quality publication, that impact factor, and a lot of institutions and universities around the world demand that their researchers publish in journals with an impact factor. So I'm hoping that while we've seen authors from all over the world choose us as a forum for their work, that will actually increase now once we have that metric, and will be viewed in an even better light by people deciding where to submit their work. There are societies and organisations that have benchmarks and standards for what a scientific publication should look like and how they should operate. And I'm really proud that we do all of that, and we don't do it just by chance. We invest a lot into it. So if the editorial office, Mara is our managing editor, and with our publications officer, and we take our publishing ethics very seriously. We monitor changes to policy, to best practice, the systems that we use and that are provided to us by our publisher, our editorial manager system. We maintain a full audit trail of every keystroke, every decision we make as editors, the advice we take from peer reviewers, how we manage all that. It's all audited. These systems help us operate as an editorial panel, but ultimately, unless authors submit to us, we won't publish anything. And we have some great authors out there who submit to us repeatedly because they've had really good experience with our journal. They appreciate the reach of our journal, and that's been another exciting thing that's happened over the last 10 years. When we first started, we had no idea how many people were reading our content. Didn't know, couldn't track it, didn't have the analytics for it. But the readership, the people visiting our site, has increased by 20% each year for the last 3 years. And this year will be the first year that just on the web page alone, this isn't through other databases and the like, there'll be well over 500,000 visitors will have come in 2022.
Wow. That's fantastic.
So it is fantastic. And that's one of the things that makes you great, because authors, we do our research for a reason. We publish for a reason. And that means that it's accessible, people can find the work, they're interested in the work. And I think we publish a lot of great content that a lot of researchers and authors have invested a great deal of time into their work. And it's really nice to be able to help people, as an author who needs to publish himself, you always get that warm fuzzy feeling when when it's there and you've got your PDF and yay, it's published. And I like being able to, knowing that we get to send that message out to others. If you're a postgraduate student, it's your first publication, it's exciting times. And I think just being a part of it's exciting for all of us. I think the other thing that makes our journal great are the staff in our editorial office. We invest a lot in our staff, and I know they take their work very, very seriously. We have a fantastic relationship with our publisher, WK, Lippincott, Williams and Wilkins. I think we work really, really well together with the production side. They're a global juggernaut. We're only one little piece in their big puzzle, but they're fantastic to work with. And we do it. It's just a continual cycle. 12 issues a year. It's 10 years now. It's a beast with a life of its own. In some ways, it just continually doesn't stop. That's another thing about publishing and running a publication. And Murray, you'll attest to this. It just doesn't stop. It just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And long after we're long gone, it will still be rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. It'll keep going. Yeah.
And because it doesn't stop, I think it's nice that we're taking the opportunity to recognize such a milestone, 10 years.
Right, you are. Happy birthday, JBI Evidence Synthesis. 10 long years, and here's to another 10 at least.
10 great years, yep.
Yeah.